today to talk about Title III and how it involved you in your schools and your friends, and if you think that you, as a person, gained anything from being in Title III. And this means working with Mr. Steele or myself. So would one of you like to start? Wayne, how about you?
Mr. Steele came to our school to work with us in geography. We learned a lot more from making the different types of tools the people used in ancient times and the way they lived.
What did you study with at that time?
Well, we were studying about Mesopotamia and Phoenicia and Rome and Greece. And we each divided up into groups and we made different things like the clothes they wore and the pottery and their tools and things like that.
Good. And what did you do, Maureen?
Well, we made a few things like a bowling ball thing and
We're trying to give them a spark of creativity, said Jeanne McWaters. We're fighting a trend in society to try to make them feel a sense of gratification in making something. The project began in 1966 with a grant from the Ford Foundation and was subsequently supported by federal Title III funding. The aim, according to project coordinator William Steele, was to provide an active approach to education that built in and integrated eye, hand, and mind activities in the classroom, and an opportunity to bring students into contact with craftsmen and the materials they use in the world of work. As McWaters put it, the idea was to make school a place where students wanted to come. Once you overcome the obstacles, the task of the teacher becomes much easier.
If we have a book of maybe like a football game, we might make a box, and then you put another piece, the top box on the top. Then you make a background inside with people playing football. Like I made see for this. See, then after I did mine, I had the puppy who liked to chew things. See, I made a flag with the puppy on it. I painted a puppy on it with a stand to stand it up. It's over there. And like Marley, she read some books, and she made the ones of a rabbit and something else sitting and sitting on stones with stones in front of it and one big
Now we have a fourth grade group working on fraction boards, and they've made the whole unit themselves. It consists of a back and front, which closes to make a box which contains their paper fractions which they've made. It involved cutting the back pieces, it involved measuring, a great deal of it, measuring the length here and how this piece fits inside of this piece and what measurement it is, centering and putting on hinges so it closes and opens properly, figuring out how the flannel will go on the back, and then again measuring so that they have a 6 by 12 area inside the tape marks. They in turn took colored paper and devised their own fractions, and they're color coded. Plain construction paper will stick to flannel very nicely. Precisely. So a child could work at a desk and just prop his board up in front of you, and the teacher could be in the front of the room. It would just be a matter of her asking to put on, all right, place a half on the board. They could do that. And you could say how many, put 3 6ths on. I'm not sure what dimensions are on these. These would be 1, 2, 3. These are more than 6. And then you could get different combinations. The Geo Board. And this one is done on drywall, which is a very easy way of doing it. You can make them more permanent on plywood. You may use them with rubber bands to do sets. You could use them for fractions by dividing boards in halves, quarters, and so forth. You can use them in the younger grades for a counting board with a 10 by 10. The setup of the grid alone is a great math problem for the older ones to get going on it. And there are any number of ways that you can use a Geo board for math problems. Sometimes you have a group of kids, even in the upper grades, that just counting becomes such a problem that they waste more time counting fingers sometimes than anything else. So we devised a very easy and simple individual counting box that could be kept in it. Today we're going to work with Geo boards again. Would you go back and help pass them out? And would you like to come up and pass out some rubber bands? 2 each. Yep. Would you like to help? Okay. That'll be all for just a second when we get those out. I want you to check your Geo boards carefully and make sure that there are nails in all spaces. If there are any missing, we'll have to get the hammer out. And which of these is a rectangle? This one? What's this one? Now we've got 2 names. One's a triangle, one's a rectangle. Which one is it? What are these 2? Rectangle. What makes a rectangle? 4 long box. Could be a long box. Doesn't have to be. 4 straight sides at right angle. Okay. What's this one? Triangle. Right. Does anybody know what the beginning of that word means? T-R-I. Last week we discussed that the distance between one nail to another we call a space. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. I want you to put a rubber band around a rectangle that has 2 spaces by 3 spaces. 2 spaces one way, 3 the other. One rubber band. There should be a nail here, here, like that. That's 2 spaces, right? All right, and I said 3 spaces this way. I think it's too long. 1, 2. All right, now you only have it over 1 this way and 2 this way. I want it 2 and 1, 2, 3. Want to do that? Right? No, you have it 2 this way. You have it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that way. Yeah, you want it 3. That's right. Then, how many spaces can you go around that rectangle? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 spaces around that rectangle. Okay? Okay. All right.
Well, Mary Beth has expanded on some of the things that she's been doing here by coming home and asking questions, and then we direct her to some type of, say, the encyclopedia or whatever, so that she can find out further.
This was one of the things that we were very interested in finding out if there was any carryover, if it did stimulate the students to go home and go deeper into the things that we've started here.
It has in Mary Beth's case, and then we just try to direct her to a source where she can obtain more knowledge and not hand her the information, so that way perhaps she'll retain it longer too. It was interesting, they made magnets not long ago through one of your projects, and she came home with that, was very excited. And everybody in the household had to see the magnet, how it worked, and she magnetized the nail in it. And then at dinner time, why, we had a second repeat performance. We didn't eat much dinner, but she kept showing us how that magnet worked. It was just fascinated. And so we were talking at the table about the different projects she had done, and my husband wasn't familiar with all of them, and she was telling us that. But the comment that came out that really interested me was, it makes you want to learn. And that seemed to say an awful lot. If it makes you want to learn.
If you can construct something, it's math. Everything is math as far as construction goes, because you have to figure how to measure, you have to figure what angles you're going to be using. So I can see where it would really help with math. For elderly children who are taking shop courses, and I'm talking now in the secondary level, this has to relate or continue on as their whole school curriculum. If it's all right to read a problem and try to work it out with a pencil and paper, but the next thing, by doing something, this is actually I feel is the best way to learn.
So if we pound them in, are they going to hold better?
In fourth grade, we were learning about fractions and things, and Mr. Steele came and we started a project. We got these kind of like boards, and we made fraction boards with felt on the top, and we cut out letters out of paper, and we could do that and learn our fractions. And then the same year we were studying about America, and we made a map out of wood. It was like a puzzle. We made
Jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah. When last year, fourth graders, there was 4 of us, so we made a map of Lake Champlain, and we cut them in 4 pieces, and each of us made a piece, and then we painted it, and then we put on another piece, and it was like a flat piece, and then pieces on top of it.
In social studies, we're doing Latin America, and for each country like Mexico and Central America and South America, we made panoramas of the great Indian tribes they had, the Aztecs, Mayas, and Incas.
Good. Have you taken any pictures of these?
Yeah.
Good. How about you boys?
Tomorrow we're gonna start. We've been studying Latin America. We're gonna do pottery with clay that's come from here.
Have you done it, Chip?
When I was in fourth grade, we made a map that was on North America, and we sort of put it in. We do it ourselves, but we used the bigger map, and we sort of made it bigger from the small picture.
And how do we do that? Can you remember? What did we use?
Put it in inch squares.
We drew squares on a paper and made a grid, remember?
Yes.
And then we enlarged it. Did you do it too?
Yes.
It works out very easily, doesn't it? Have you been able to use that anywhere else, and now, say this year, to enlarge a map, or haven't you thought about it since then?
We did that and made a map of Nebraska in fourth grade with Mr. Steele.
Grade 6 last year, they made out of plaster of Paris hills and everything of Vermont, and then we cut out little flags and we put the names on them, and we stuck it in where the places really are, and then we studied about it, and Mr. Steele would ask us questions about us and brought in these papers, and he would ask us things. It would be tell how high things were, and it really helped us great.
So you did a very good topographical map, and I thought you should have it up there.
Linoleum block printing was the first thing we did in art club in one of my sections, and I got the linoleum here. I came and I put the linoleum on the boards, and Mrs. McWaters and Mr. Steele showed me how to do that. Then they showed me how to print. They gave me the ink to do it with, materials to do it with, and I brought it into class and I showed the kids how to do it, and they went right ahead and did it and did a beautiful job. We're going to get a stove. Well, it was over there before. And pot to melt down the candles. They've been bringing some candles in, and you can buy them at the candle mill. And you get a string. You set everyone in a big circle around the room. You come by with a string, dip it in, walk around, and by the time you walk around, it should be dried enough so you can dip it again and dip it out 25 times. And I've gotten information to do that here, too. I can't help as many kids that are in the room. has right in there, and so they have to help each other, and they do a beautiful job. They learn how to sew. No, I can't. There's just no way I can get to everybody, because everyone's got a question right now. So the kids help themselves. You just set them up, give them the materials, tell them what to do and how to do it, and they go right off. And they should come out without any problems.
If you have done it right, you should be building a fence around 10 squares. If you're building it properly, you're building it around 10 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now I'm going to ask you something different. Listen. And what size now? All right. Now, just as we were talking about fences going around property, right? Yeah. Okay. Now let's look at what's going on inside that piece of property. You all have your 2x5 rectangle with a fence around it. How many squares are inside that fence? 10. 10. Okay. How many boxes in the 2x3? How many squares? 6. Okay. And how many were in the whole 2x5?
10.
Okay. How many are left over in the other?
4.
4. What are 4 and 6?
10.
Okay. Let's try it by taking, leave your 5x2 rectangle. Leave that. And now I want you to do one with 2x6. 2x6. Right over the 2x5. I want 2x6. 2x6. Don't touch your 2x5. Simple abacus is another math one. It can be devised as an abacus. The black one's representing 5, these 1 down here. This is another way that it was made by another group of children. In order to get to here, we've already had to make a complete plan of measurements, which also involves rulers, estimating, and so forth to get to here. This can also be used as a plain counting board for young children, 1s, 10s, 100s, just purely for counting. Any of these things involves math where you have to work with wood, whether it's a book holder or possibly even this Geo pattern design. A lot of kids.
Hey, what? I get 3/3.
3/3? Got one here? Good. 3/6. Who's got a different one? What you got there, Brian?
3/5.
Is it 1/2?
No.
Too big?
Oh, so it's bad.
All right, what have you got, Mary Beth?
5/10.
5/10? Good. 5 down. What have you got? 4/8. Good. Anybody have a different one yet that we haven't mentioned? Alan, have you got one? What's this? Any of these things involves math where you have to work with wood, whether it's a book holder or possibly even this Geo pattern design. A lot of kids have problems in patterns, making something repeat itself over and over and over again. It can be done with compasses in small areas like this. You could do a great big one, put nails in it and give them yarn and have them repeat patterns. In math, you know that there is a way to pattern work with numbers, and you can back it up with this a little bit. Weaving and basket making and ceramics are all things that you get involved with any culture you study, in any area of social studies. And we've developed simple looms. This one is just a filler for material. This one is a very simple one with just a piece of pine and nails. And it's the over and under technique and right to left concept that many children need extra help in beginning reading. simple loom that we designed, and the kids can make themselves just by giving them a sample.
2/3. How many thirds does it take to make a hole, Harriet? To make a hole? How many thirds to make a hole?
Oh,
Jody?
3.
3. So if we put 2 on the board, how many will leave off, Frank? 1. How many 8ths will it take to make 4 fourths? How many 8ths will it take? Do it on your board. How many 8ths will it take to make 4 fourths? How many did it take, Cliff?
4.
Did it? I don't think so.
No.
Meredith?
8.
8. It took 8 eighths to make up 4 quarters. How many eighths will it take to make up 3 quarters? 3 quarters. Think about how you're going to do it. How will you start? How will you start, Harry?
Take 1 quarter off and put on your 8.
All right, take off 1 quarter and put your 8ths on. All right, you end up with 6 eighths. Can we use the fraction boards to help us find fractions that are equivalent? Joan?
Yeah.
And what did we say equivalent fractions were? What have we learned about equivalent fractions? Patrick? 2 fractions that equal the same thing. Good. Now, I want you to take 1 whole and see how many different ways you can find to make up 1 whole. Keep track of each way that you make and see if you can get at least 5. At least 5 different ways or more.
At least 5.
Try to mix the colors.
Oh, good.
No solid colors because we know that. We've already done that.
Oh,
It's a mixture of colors to make up 1 whole. What can you use here?
And when you glue them, you want to get right even out to the end. We're here today to talk about Title III and how it involved you in your schools and your friends. And if you think... No, that's good. That's fine.
And I think it's a great mistake, personally, to think that if the federal government doesn't give funds to Title III, that we just ignore this whole Title III program.
The comment that came out that really interested me was, it makes you want to learn. And that seemed to say an awful lot. If it makes you want to learn.
How much hair do I got?